You are listening to the Esthetician's Earning More podcast with Brittany Hageman, episode number 171. Do you want to make $100,000 revenue in your esthetician business? If so, I would love to show you how. I want to invite you to coach with me in my one-to-one coaching program. It's completely customizable. The way that it works is we sit down and figure out what you've been doing in your business that hasn't been working, and then make a very specific plan that I help you follow over the course of 6 months to get it done. We meet weekly for 30 minutes and discuss exactly what went well that week and we're going to do next week, whether it's your pricing needs to be raised, or you need to have boundaries with your clients, or if you need to learn how to sell skincare, or you need to niche down and you're doing way too many services and not making money, or all of the above. Whatever the issue is, whatever the reason is you're not making money, we'll figure it out together and we will grow your business into a really profitable business that's sustainable, that you love, and that really helps people. I cannot wait to be your coach and to work with you. To learn more, go to the link in the show notes. And with that, on with today's episode. Welcome back. Happy Monday. I'm so excited for today's podcast. It is with one of my former clients and now friends, Tiffany McCarthy. She owns her own solo esthetician business in Littleton, New Hampshire, not Rhode Island, like I always think. Tiffany started working with me in February 2024, and we ended just a little bit ago working together in our 6-month coaching. And I love Tiffany's story so much because when she started with me, she was making money in her business. She was almost fully booked, but she wasn't taking any money home. She was broke from a financial point. She was making money, but she actually wasn't making any money. And she was so burnt out. She had decided she was going to close summer 2024 a few months ago. She was like, I'm going to close by summer. And in our 6 months together, not only did she not close her business, but she's made more money than she's ever made. She's actually likes her business again, enjoys working. She's making money. She's a very happy client. She's a very good esthetician. She's an incredible esthetician, actually. So that was not something that we worked on, but we had to work on a lot of the other things in her business that were broken, that was preventing her from actually making money and taking money home. The first few minutes, there is an echo when Tiffany talks, and we figured that out, and then we stopped it. And so I'm sorry, in the first few minutes of her talking, it's going to feel a little echoey, but then don't worry, that's not the whole episode, because I do want you to listen. She talks about how she built her business from 0 people. She had no clients, opened her business 2 years ago, and got fully booked very quickly. So she talks about that. She talks about the struggles that she has being an esthetician business owner that I hope will be really relatable to you, and how she got out of it, and then how she's making a lot of money today and is doing so much better from every standpoint you could be. So thank you so much, Tiffany, for being on today's episode. Tiffany was not a person who wants to talk in a podcast, but she said she would do it for me, which is just so unbelievably kind. I hope you enjoyed Tiffany's story. Love it so much. Feel inspired. And if anything, it gives you encouragement to go out and take action. Have a fantastic week. I'll talk to you next week. We're just talking. Me and you. That's all.
I know.
Don't worry about it. Okay. Welcome to the podcast, Tiffany. I'm so excited to have you here. Can you first introduce yourself? Tell us about you.
I am Tiffany. I own Fern & Dagger in Littleton, New Hampshire. I'm a past client of yours, and I'm very excited to speak about my experience.
What do you do at Fern & Dagger? What kind of services do you do? How long have you been open?
So I've been open just over 2 years now. I mostly focus on corrective services, but also like acne, compromised skin, rosacea, all that kind of group.
Mm-hmm. And so 2 years. So what did you want to do out of high school, or what did you do out of high school? Because I know you're not like 20 years old.
So when I graduated high school, the plan was to go to school for like special effects makeup,
Mm-hmm.
and that didn't happen.
Okay.
But I started doing like bridal makeup, and I that's kind of where I fell in love with skin and just like the whole aspect of that, because I realized over time that like makeup didn't look good unless skin was like properly prepped. Um, so then I
Mm-hmm.
decided to go to school.
Okay, so what point, so how old were you when you went to esthetician school? How long were you doing bridal makeup?
I I want to say I was like 26 or 27.
Okay.
It took me a bit because the school I wanted to go to was in Massachusetts, so I had to like build up the courage to move down there, which was
Yeah.
very scary.
Yeah. That's huge. You so you
Yeah.
had moved to go to esthetician school. Was there not esthetician schools in New Hampshire, or was the one that you wanted to go to in Massachusetts?
There were. I probably would have had to move anyway because I think the closest one was like an hour and a half away.
Okay.
But just none of the schools compared. And I
Mm-hmm.
figured if I was going to spend the money, I might as well go, to a school where I could graduate and actually know everything that I
Okay.
wanted to know.
And was that your experience? Did you feel like that's what happened?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. What school
Yep.
did you go to?
Catherine Hines in Woburn, Massachusetts.
Okay, I've never heard of it. But is that it? Is that a like only single location, or is there multiple locations for that school?
Yes. I have a
Yeah.
question. Is there a
Wait.
way to turn off the echo because it's like throwing me off?
Let's see. Hold on. We have to make stop. Hold on. Let's stop that. I understand. Okay. So the school is a would you is it a single school or is there multiple schools?
Yeah, it's a single school. But the woman that started it, Catherine Hines, she was like basically like a pioneer in the aesthetics world. She really kind of like brought over like and popularized a lot of things, and just I had always known that like they were basically like the best of the best. So I was like,
Mm,
if I'm gonna go to a school that I know that it will actually make a difference in my education. Like I don't want to take like a 600-hour class and come out and basically be like, okay, well, I didn't learn anything,
mm-hmm.
So I took a 1200-hour class, and like it I didn't even have to work anywhere when I graduated school. I was like fully competent. Like I knew everything, hydrofacials, chemical peels. We did dermaplaning. We did,
Wow.
all kinds of waxing, lash extensions, pretty much everything. And I mean,
Wow.
the thing that was really cool about the school is that they're so focused on having a student clinic, which I think a lot of people kind of miss out on that experience. I see so many posts where, estheticians are like, well, how do I get clients to come in? Like, I don't have any friends or family that will do it. And their approach is so much different, which
Mm.
is really what made the experience so much better. I never went without having a client that I didn't know.
Mm.
Um, which is it's really good for kind of becoming comfortable with having to like go through a facial and like talk about home care and do this and that, because this is essentially like a job that you're trying to complete.
Mm-hmm. So you work, so they had a student clinic that you literally learned how to work on clients and talk to clients.
Yep.
And it sounds like is it always open? Do people just kind of know about the student clinic and they can just,
Yep, they can just call and book appointments. It's open, I think, like Monday through Saturday, I believe it was opened, and we would
okay.
have clinic hours during the day and at night.
Oh,
Except
wow.
on Saturdays, we were only open until I think it was like 1 or 2, maybe
Hmm.
12. I
Okay.
don't remember, but it was really awesome.
And so then, okay, so you did that and But that was in Massachusetts, so was it easy to get your license
Yes.
to go back to? Tell me
New
about that.
Hampshire.
What?
Yeah. I said New Hampshire.
Yeah. New Hampshire, but I was like, yeah, just like, like, was it a New England license? Like, I know New England, like, a lot of things are the same.
It's
Um,
well, it's different in every state.
okay,
In New England, I believe, like in Connecticut, I think they might have a license now, but I know Connecticut, I don't think they have a license, or at least they didn't when I went to school, which is it's insane. I can't believe that's a thing.
there's no license
um,
to be an esthetician. You can just be an esthetician in Connecticut.
I don't think so. I might be thinking that, like, getting information mixed up, but I don't believe there is, or if there is, it's super super low. Like the hours are 300 hours,
Okay,
maybe less, I don't know. But I don't know how it is in any other states. I know Massachusetts and New Hampshire have reciprocity. So I basically
okay,
just I got licensed in Massachusetts. Like that's where they taught us, obviously, to take our state board test.
okay.
And then when I moved back, it was like a couple like pieces of like paperwork I had to fill out,
Mm-hmm.
and that was pretty much that. It
Oh,
was
that's
super
easy.
easy. Yeah.
Okay, so you did that. What year was that you went to esthetician school?
I went 2018 through like just the end of 2019. So I was in
Okay.
school almost a year.
Okay, so then what did you do after school?
Um, Nothing, because I moved back into an area where there's literally like there's pretty much nothing up here. It's slowly now becoming more of a thing where like we just had like our first like med spa open, and like people are doing like fillers and like injectables and everything. But even when I came back in 2019, there was pretty much nothing. I had applied to probably like five or six of the places within like an hour and a half of me. And
Okay.
I was like, listen, I have 1,200 hours, the state requires only 600. Like I've been working in a student clinic for over a year now. I know what I'm doing. And every single place was like, no, like skincare isn't a huge thing over here. Like we really have a hard time like marketing, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well, that's kind of discouraging.
Yeah.
Um, so right before COVID, it was like early March 2020. I was in the process of finding a studio and opening my own place, and then obviously COVID happened.
Yeah.
Um, which, yeah,
So how
did
long were
not
you
happen.
how long were you shut down for?
In New Hampshire, I want to say I worked in a restaurant at the time, and we were takeout only
Hmm.
from March of 2020 until I want to say it was either September of 2020 or September of 2021. I can't remember. So we were shut down for quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, we actually got like a tourist burst, and everyone moved up here from Massachusetts, and like it's put an extreme strain on our housing
Oh,
market. it's
interesting.
it's actually it's terrible up here right now. It's so insane.
Wow, interesting. Okay, because
Yeah.
people left Massachusetts during COVID. That happened in
Mm-hmm.
so many areas where people left areas. Like
Yeah.
I know people left the Bay Area to go to San Diego, and then San Diego was like no one could live in San Diego because the dot comers like you know
Mm-hmm.
got everybody out. But then of course now they want everyone back
Yep.
in the office, and so now they're all moving back. It's just chaos. But
Yeah. Yeah, it's
okay,
insane.
so you were working as a waitress. So I was going to ask you, how are you
Yes.
paying your bills through all this? So you're working as a waitress. So your
Yep.
studio was open, but you couldn't take clients.
Oh no, I didn't even sign my lease. Like it
Okay.
happened. It saved me, honestly, because when I look back at it now, I even me opening 2 years ago versus me opening in 2020, I had no idea what the hell I was talking about or like what I was doing. Like I'm actually so grateful, as like disheartening as it was that COVID happened, because I would have been lost. Like it would have been bad.
Okay. Okay. So you were working as a waitress, and then
Yes.
when you so 2 years ago, so 2022.
Two. Yep.
Okay. So you worked as a waitress that entire time, and then at what point were you like, okay, I'm going to open my own business, and how did that come about?
I I interviewed at one place. It was a resort in the area. Well, both of the places I'm going to talk about were resorts, but the first place, it was a resort, super like spa, like relaxation, like focused.
Hmm.
And then they told me their pay structure during the interview, and I was like, no. I was like, absolutely not. I'm gonna go. Like I can sustain my life like with being a waitress.
Yeah.
And then I started working at another place. I want to say I had been there like a week or so,
Okay.
and I was like just barely starting my training and everything, and I had met the owner, and I heard her talking about me being a receptionist for, this was in, I want to say it was like September, October, and they were like, yeah, we're going to have her train as a receptionist until January. I was like, absolutely not. I went on my lunch break, peaced out, never went back. Like I was like, I'm just gonna go. I've seen all I need to see. I was like, that's not like, no, I didn't spend $17,000 like, to graduate with
Yeah.
more experience and to be a receptionist for 5 months. Like I
No.
get it, but that's, train me on it, have me work a couple days, like alternating, like I'm fine with that. But I'm not gonna be just a receptionist for 5 months. Like that was just like an insult and like a slap in the face to
Hmm.
my education, like,
Yeah.
and what I was willing to do to, graduate and be like the best.
Hmm. Okay, so that happened at the end of 2022. So then you were like, okay, now what? You're going to open your own business? Is that when you decided?
So this was, both of those happened end of 2021.
Oh, end of 2021. Okay.
And yep, and then my um the owner of the restaurant I worked at, this was like, I think like beginning of like 2022, had a space open up, and I went to go look at it. I was like, listen, like I really want to do this, like, and she was like, okay, well I have some more interviews like with potential tenants, like I kind of need to take this, like I can't just give it to you. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, that's fair. I totally get that. Um and the people that wanted to go in the space were not going to be essentially like an asset to the community. It was
Okay.
mainly going to be used for like e-commerce.
Okay.
It was just a glorified like storage unit, and she
Hmm.
didn't she didn't want that. She's very community focused, and that's kind of when she was like, okay, well, if first month deposit everything, like, and then you can just pay until you open. And then I opened in June of 2022.
Okay.
It took me so long just because I got really scared, and
Mm.
I was terrified, and like there was like so much imposter syndrome, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And then finally, like at the like mid-May, I was like, I just need to do it. Like I'm paying rent now, and I'm not even open. So I was like,
Yeah.
I gotta jump into it. I gotta do it.
So how did you do that? How did you overcome that imposter syndrome? Because I think a lot of estheticians are out there. They're like, that is me. I feel the same
Yeah.
way.
Um, well, in the moment, I hated surfing. The COVID ruined the restaurant industry, and like that is like something
Okay.
that's a hill I will die on. People were just like rude. it was like a
Mm.
whole other thing, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I have to start now. Even if I work at this place, for another year, I have to go. And I kind of just I took it every day with that imposter syndrome that was kind of back in the back of my head. And I kind of just forced my way through it. It's still something I
Okay.
struggle with, as I feel like every esthetician does, or even
Yeah.
anyone in the beauty industry. It's definitely very, very tricky, you know, to kind of have these people that are like, oh my God, like you changed my life, like you changed my skin. And then to have days where you're just like, nothing I do matters. I'm not important. Like no one cares. And it's an insane mindset to kind of like to flip between.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's so hard. I'm trying so desperately to beat it with a stick, but it's I'll get there eventually.
But I think that's just a common normal thing. Like, and I actually
Yeah.
think it's more common with women than it is with men. And I think
Yeah, that
whether you're
explains
an
a lot.
esthetician, yeah, an esthetician, or you're like a doctor or a
Yeah.
lawyer, like women always, I think this is a thing with women. Like there was this poll on Instagram, and I know Instagram's like, you can't say it's a source, but
Yeah.
it was like, if you're on a plane, do you think you could land a plane? Something happened to both pilots, and like men overwhelmingly said they could, and women overwhelmingly said they couldn't. And
Yeah.
like it's hilarious because there's like my husband's like they would just crash the plane. Like there's no way someone could just walk in and land a plane that has no
Yeah.
experience. Like he's like they just there's it's not intuitive. It's not like you would sit down and like know what
Yeah.
to do because you've watched some movies or something. But men have this like false sense of confidence that they can do
Mhm.
things that they can't do. And I think that like
Yeah.
as women particularly, we've been taught like, no, you don't really know how to do that. You shouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's
Yeah.
true. Definitely.
So you're not alone. And like I would say that, like big movie stars have imposter syndromes, like it's
Mhm.
something that is just a common, it's our brains just automatically go to that. So okay, so you were experiencing
Mhm.
that. So you opened in June. How did you find clients?
Um I initially I did like a model call. So it was,
Okay.
50% off all services. Um and that, I mean, that honestly like filled my books up for a little bit. It still was a struggle. I'm very lucky. I will say this. I'm very lucky that I lived in an area where there were so many people and not enough um, service providers
Mm-hmm.
that it kind of it didn't take long for it to fully take off for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I didn't have to. I don't struggle with like having a ton of like competitors, and
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely there's a lot more going on now than there was when I first opened. But I initially did the 50% off model call for, I think it was, I think I did it for 3 weeks in
Okay.
July.
Okay.
And then, yeah, it was running ads, every, every single day pretty much. Yeah. And
And are
now,
you still
now
working?
I'm
Sorry, go
very,
ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm very lucky that like I still run ads now, um, but it's more like word of mouth and like referrals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And were you still working as a waitress at the time?
Yes, I worked as a waitress until May of 2023. So I worked for like another year.
Okay, to help supplement your income.
Hmm.
And I think that's so important for the listener is a lot of people go out on their own, which is totally fine, but they have
Yeah.
no other income. Or
Hmm.
they expect their esthetician business income to replace their other job instantly, and they get so
Yep.
frustrated that it doesn't. Like so
Hmm.
frustrated. But it takes a long time. Like
Oh
even
yeah.
you didn't have a hard time getting clients, but it still took a long time for you to fully not have to
Mm-hmm.
waitress anymore.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you hated waitressing, it sounded like. I hated waitressing. I was a terrible waitress.
I mean, honestly, I mean, I was really good at it.
I believe it.
I loved the industry, and I loved how, how easy, obviously how easy it was to make money and everything, but it got to a point where I was just like, I can't like I can't deal with people anymore.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I need to go. But even like right now, I'm like, I miss waitressing. Like every single week, I'm like, what if I just like got a new job, like a little part-time thing, and I waitress like once or twice a week. I don't know. I probably will never, but I think about it a lot.
I know you do. I know
Yeah.
you do. Okay. So, okay. All right. So yeah. So I think that's an important like point to say this. And then how much were you paying for your space? How much was it a month?
When I first signed my lease, it was, I think it was like 375, which
A month?
is not, yeah, which is
That's not,
not,
that's not bad.
yeah. It's like a
Yeah.
storefront, like right, like off of the main street in my town.
Not bad.
I got very, very lucky with it.
Yeah. Okay. And so I also want to make those points. It's like your overhead was low and you
Mm-hmm.
had another income that was paying all of your bills
Yeah.
and you kind of just went out and found people. Okay. So then
Mm-hmm.
you stopped working as a waitress in May
Mm-hmm.
2023. And I'm starting to
Mm-hmm.
laugh because I know that that summer was a hard summer for your business.
It was very hard. Yeah.
So tell us about that because I think other like estheticians, business owners need to hear. Like it
Mm-hmm.
seems like from an outside that your story was like it kind of happened rather easily, and then you had a bump
Mm-hmm.
in the road.
Yeah. So I don't even know. Well, I do know what happened. Um, yeah. So basically, I left my job, and then I decided to do, just my business full time, and like it honestly, it was fine. Like I was bringing in money. I
Mm-hmm.
was still struggling a lot with like, kind of focusing on the corrective services that I wanted to do. I really struggled with retail. I mean, I struggled with this, with that. I was like discounting services to get people in. It was a whole like it became a mess very, very quickly in the span of
Mm-hmm.
like a month or two. And then I just got myself into a hole that I could not dig myself out of for, I don't even know how long has it been. Like, well, it's been, it was like a year, honestly, because I mean, we started working together in February, and I like fully was like out by like April or May. So it took me about almost a year to kind of get myself back onto my feet and change my business around.
And so when you say you dug yourself in a hole, you mean that you were discounting services, you weren't selling products, you were working a lot, but
Hmm.
you weren't making any money.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
So okay, so yeah, let's so then that kind of you were making money. I remember when we first talked in
Yeah.
February, you were making money,
Yeah.
but you weren't your business was making money, but you weren't making money. You weren't able to take
Yep.
any of the money. It was just like
Hmm.
as soon as it would come in, it was gone.
Yes. Yep.
And we think the main reasons was that is because you were priced too low.
Yeah. Yep.
You had a lot of discount seeking clients and you weren't selling
Hmm.
product,
Yeah.
right? I think those are the main things that like we needed
Yeah.
to change.
Hmm.
Okay, so then you hired me to work with you in February 2024.
Yes.
And why did you decide to do that?
Because so initially when I kind of was looking for someone, because I was like, listen, like 2023, my business made over six figures. Did
Mm-hmm.
I have any of that? No, I didn't. I constantly was dealing with overdraft fees, and I was like scrounging for money all the time, and it I could never actually pay myself, and that was the biggest problem. Was I kind of, I was just like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
If my business is bringing in this much money, how can I would pay myself $100 or $200 every week, and that is not enough in in this economy.
No.
Absolutely not. So initially, I texted David, who is the founder of Wish Skin
That's
Health,
right.
and I kind of was just like, hey, like, do you know of any business coaches? Like, I really kind of just I need to fix this before it gets out of hand. I was like, I can't last another 6 or 7 months doing this. I had it planned that I was going to close in either June or July of this year.
I remember, yeah.
Um, and he basically like called me and he was like, "Hey, like I have a couple people I can send to you. Here's a couple names." And I kind of just went through everyone and I looked, and you were one of the people he mentioned, and he was like, you should really look into Brittany because she focuses on acne while all the others are really great and they can kind of help take your business further, which is what you want. She has experience dealing with you know coaching estheticians that primarily focus on acne or like other services, corrective
Mm-hmm.
services. And I remember I looked at your profile or I think your website and like your Instagram, and I didn't realize that I had been getting your emails for months at this point.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, like, and I made no connection at all.
Mhm.
And then I looked at your website, and I think I immediately like I booked the call that same day, and it was like the following Monday. And then I
Mhm.
had I signed up by, I think it was like that Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, it was
I was like
quick.
I just I read your website, and I completely agreed with everything, and I felt your vibe, and I was like okay, I just need to do this, even if you know spending this kind of money monthly that I technically don't have. But I was like, I need to do something because I don't want to close my business, but I don't know what else to do, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I
and
remember. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I tell everyone this, but I think one of the main reasons, like I was already hooked by your website, but once I actually got to have a call with you and kind of talk to you, and you're so down to earth and relatable, which I think is very, very important because you know so many people just flaunt their money, and
Yeah.
it's so off-putting. Sure, everyone wants to make, you want to be able to pay yourself 100K a year. You want to be able to go on
Sure.
vacations and trips and buy a car outright and do all this, but it feels so out of touch, which is what I didn't like that at all.
Mhm.
I didn't jive with it well, and that's kind of what I found a lot of coaches strive towards. And I'm like, I don't necessarily want that. If that happens, sure, but I just don't want my fucking business to fail. Like I don't want to
Yeah.
close. Like I don't care.
Right. Right. Like the motivation isn't to be like Instagram rich. It's to just
Yeah,
like make money and like your business and like be able to sleep at night because you can
exactly.
pay your bills and pay yourself. Like
Exactly.
not stressful about all the things. Yeah.
Exactly.
I know remember our call, and I remember it was a very quick call, and you're like, "Yep, I'm in." And I've had calls like that, and I never hear from them again. They completely
Yeah.
ghost me. Like that is it.
Mhm.
Usually, if someone is that quick to being like, "Yep, that's for me," it's always
Yep.
they're gone. I never hear from them again.
Yeah.
And so I was like super excited that you actually like moved forward. And then
Yeah.
but I remember from the beginning of our time together, I think it was like the first week you emailed me and you were like, "I'm not gonna pay you
Mhm.
next month."
Yep. I was terrified. I was like, I can't. I was like, I don't know, just looking at my books for, I think it was I paid you for February, and
Yes,
just looking at my books for February, I was like, what the hell did I do?
not
I
gonna
cannot
happen.
pay this woman in March. Like, I have no idea, but it changed very, very, very quickly. Just
And I remember I
even
wrote back.
just
Go ahead.
exactly. No, I was sorry. You can
I
go.
was I wrote back to you and I was like, okay, let's just you paid for me for this month. Do the work I tell
Yeah.
you to do this month, and we will reevaluate in March. And if that's the case, that's the
Hmm.
case. But you've paid me already. Let's go. Like
Yeah.
don't give up already.
Yeah. Yeah. I was freaking out.
Okay, so then tell me about like what was the thing you said it changed very quickly. Why did things change very quickly for you?
I have no idea. I think it was just getting in the kind of like mindset of really just taking it, like I tend to look ahead
Mhm.
so often, and freak out,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
And it's definitely something I need to work on because I still do it. But I think
Yeah.
that was the biggest thing when you were kind of just like, okay, well, let's focus on the time that we have paid for now. Like, we're gonna really kind of like start, looking at where your money or where your business is hemorrhaging money, and we're gonna kind of figure out the issues. And that's when I
Mhm.
was like, okay, I'm gonna trust the process. I'm gonna do the journal. I'm gonna do
Mhm.
this. I'm gonna do that. And I can't even remember what happened, but I did get a lot busier, which was very, very nice,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
and I think that that's a common thing that I work along with a lot of estheticians is we're looking like, oh, it's like I have no bookings this week, and I'm like, well, how
Hmm.
many is no? Like zero? You have zero? Like, well, no, I have seven. I'm like, well, that's seven.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
like how
exactly.
many more would you need to do and like let's seven's not what you want, and really kind of looking at
Hmm.
how to improve what you already have and like product
Yes.
sales and those types of things. And then I think for you, you were like the best at doing the daily journal. So I do have a daily revenue and mindset journal, and you did
Mhm.
it every single day. Like I never had to be like,
Yep.
Tiffany, are you doing your journal? Because I can tell when clients aren't doing their journal.
Yeah. I still
And
do it
you
every single day.
Yeah, and you did it, and I think that for you was such a game changer.
Yeah. It definitely, I think just having the what's the word? Like the prompt where, mine is like I make, with my goal,
Mhm,
definitely helps
mhm.
kind of get in that mindset of, being receptive to, I might only have 5 appointments this week, but what if one of those appointments and a client spends like $600 on like home
Yeah,
care? Like that's all that, it's not the end of the
mhm,
world. Like, it's just being open to kind of whatever the universe is going to like throw our way, but also
mhm,
the three reasons why it's true,
mhm,
really, that I would say really helped me kind of get better with my imposter syndrome,
mhm.
because I have to believe in those things, and over time I knew those things, like,
Yeah,
you know
mhm.
um and then of course just the little daily activities
Super
also,
activities, yeah.
yeah, helps a lot.
And I think, one of the things that you were doing that every esthetician I feel like I meet does is
Mhm.
like you were hemorrhaging money, and so you
Mhm.
continued to throw money at things to try to make things better
Mhm.
versus solving the actual problem, which was you needed to raise your prices and sell more products.
Mhm. Yep.
Like, not to say that you didn't need to have, you had to someone help you with social media. I didn't say like, I'm not saying like don't do that, but you can have the
Mhm.
best social media in the world, but if you aren't like making money when people come
Mhm.
in, it doesn't really matter. You can have your books full and you're not making money, which is what happened. Your books were
Yep.
full.
Yep.
So it kept being like, well, how many more appointments can you fit in this week? And you were like, one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so we don't, it's not that you need clients. That's not what we're going after right
Yeah.
now. We're going after you need to make more money when those clients come in. And then I remember for
Yep.
you, the big part of it was like if you raised your prices, everyone's going to leave. If you start
Mhm.
solely sorry, if you were trying to sell skincare, everyone was going to leave. Like that was a
Mhm.
big hurdle that we had to
Yeah.
work through.
Yep.
Yeah. And so very quickly, what was nice about you is because you had clientele, like a lot of my clients are newer business owners, they don't have the
Mhm.
clientele. You saw results really quickly because once we just changed
Yeah.
pricing and we got you selling skincare and got you feeling confident selling skincare, your numbers just went up so
Mhm.
quickly.
Yeah. Yep. I
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I loved about working with you is that you were like very accountable about your actions.
Mhm.
You were like
Yep.
willing to take complete responsibility, and not in like a
Mhm.
shaming yourself way, but just like
Yeah.
I'm going to do this because I said I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it like fully do it. I'm not going to just do it a little bit and be like, it doesn't work, Brittany. Like I'm going to actually try it for a
Yeah.
long period of time and believe in the process and not like question every single step of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of people, and I mean, this is again a human reaction. It's like you start to try something, instantly you don't see the results, and then you're like, it doesn't
Yeah.
work.
Yep.
So how did you kind of how did you do that? If that wasn't, I mean, I know you actually did see results pretty quickly, but how did you stick through
Yeah.
it even when you were having those moments of just complete panic? Because you did have them multiple times in our 6 weeks together. It wasn't just the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 months together.
I would say I basically started my business out of spite. You know,
Okay.
I was told by a lot of people, no, this isn't
Right?
it's not a thing. People don't want like facials, they don't want skincare. Like no one's looking for those services. So I
Wow.
I had to get back into that mindset where I had to do things that I'm not either comfortable with or used to doing just because I did not want to prove those people right. And how insane is it to close your business because you're too busy but you're not making money? What the fuck? Like what?
Oh my
I
gosh.
yeah,
I know.
I couldn't.
For the listener, so she kept saying like June, I'm gonna get another job or close my business. I was like,
Mhm.
Tiffany, you're not like you're making like I listen, if someone wants to close their business, I will support them. Like I'm not gonna tell you you have to keep your business open. But I was like, you have clients.
Mhm.
You don't need another job. You just need those
Yeah.
clients to spend more money. And if
Mhm.
they're like not going to replace them, there's going to be people like, and I think that was really hard for you that you like wanted to replace them. But then once you started raising your
Mhm.
prices, people started falling off. You were like, oh no,
Yeah.
I take it back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And working through all of that.
Mhm.
Okay,
That
so we
was
started in February. We ended in like early, like end of July, early August. Where are right
yeah.
now? It's September, like middle of September. Where's your business now? How are things going for you?
I definitely I don't know. It still feels so much better. Like there's a weight that's been completely lifted. It's insane. I'm kind of totally zen now to the point where like if people cancel or reschedule, I'm just like whatever. Like if something ends up happening where that was a huge thing for me was the reschedules and like
Yes.
cancellations where I would immediately freak out, I would spiral and then more people would reschedule and cancel. But
Yep.
now I'm kind of just like whatever, like it's fine. And you know, something always happens where either like a past client will reach out to me or I'll get like a new like client request and it's like I've made back that money from the lost appointment. Like it's kind of it's just like it's just not it's not a big deal to me and I think that anxiety the fact that the anxiety is gone and I have just so much more like just my brain feels so much more calm about things that
Mm-hmm.
is like that is such an insane thing to experience when I mean I spent like pretty much like a year in this state of mind where it was just like I never had enough but I couldn't make money, you know, like the
Mm-hmm.
scarcity mindset. Like I was just I was deep in the trenches. I'm so glad I'm out and
And you were like in a
it's
fight or
just
flight mindset, like complete panic. You were complete
yeah.
panics all the time.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
it
the
was like it
people
was
rescheduling. Sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
no, it was just it was I was in such a like stress and you know, I started to hate my business after a while and I don't want to say I resented my clients, but if people would have to reschedule, I would be like, how dare they? Like what the hell? Like I can't pay my bills now and it would just kind of it would just be like a snowball that it would just
Mm-hmm.
make everything worse, you know?
Mm-hmm. The rescheduling, that was really big for you. And some of them we had to figure
Yeah.
out boundaries, but a big part I think was mindset for you of being like, I have many other
Mhm.
people that will take the spots. Like, and I'm also not going to
Yeah.
take someone who continues to reschedule on me. It was like both of those
Mhm.
things together.
Mhm.
Um, How are product sales now? So I think when we like last met, you were doing around 4K a month in product sales. Has that been consistent for you? What's the product sales been like for you?
Yes. So I think I haven't even checked this month. Honestly, I don't know. Because I am just that like just
Tiffany,
whatever about it.
look at your
No, but it's
numbers. You know this.
I know. I know. I will say though that I have been working less and I've been selling more. So I've had less services and more retail.
Hmm.
But it's yeah, I've been selling a lot more and it's kind of better because, since I've brought in a few new lines,
Hmm.
um I have people that are willing to kind of spend more on home care,
Hmm.
which it makes a difference.
And I love it was actually really good because you decided to bring on a new line at the end of us working together. So by then,
Mhm.
your confidence had been built up so much that you felt
Oh yeah.
confident selling the line. It was like, let's go. This is how much it costs.
Yeah.
Versus, I think estheticians bring on a line or a device that's really expensive, quote unquote expensive, and then they don't have the confidence to sell it and they end up just losing money
Mhm.
on it. Versus like you built up your confidence first
Yeah.
and then you brought on a line that you always wanted to work with and it
Yeah.
ended up being like no problem, you can just sell the line. Like it's not
Yeah.
a big deal.
And it wasn't easy. I will say that though, because I still I struggled with that imposter syndrome, where
Mhm.
I was like, if someone's like whole routine costs like $400 and I was like, I am like terrified to sell this to my clients. Like, I don't want to do this. So even the first like week or two that I had the products, I struggled a lot. And I honestly, I told my clients, I was like, listen, like I completely get it. Like it's scary to me to even recommend you these products, but if we want to get the results that you're looking for, like it might just mean like you don't come in for a facial next month. And that's
Mhm.
okay because, home care matters more anyway.
Mhm.
Um, but I've broken through that now.
It's so
It was
exciting.
it was very very anxiety inducing at
Yeah.
first. It was very very scary, but I did it. So,
Yeah, and I think that's an important lesson. Like you can any kind of change in your business, your brain's gonna freak out because the brains do,
mhm.
But you got through it so much faster because you had the
Oh yeah.
skills and you still are
Mhm.
using those skills today. Like I love that. Like I know in a year from now when I check with you frequently, but a year from now you're gonna be like, I'm still
Yeah.
using the journal. Like you're
Yeah.
still using the skills that you learned when we were working
Yep.
together, which is really my goal of most of my my clients is like that most of the things that you learn, you will take with you and continue doing past our time together, and
Mhm.
it'll completely change the way you approach your business forever.
Yep. Yeah, honestly, because when I look back on even September of last year, I was just like I was like wishing for this, and I was just like I can't do this. Like I need to make money. I don't want a second job, but I'm struggling, and I was just like there has to be a difference next
Mm-hmm.
year, and it's just so like heartwarming just to look back and like I wish I could just like hug my past self and be like it's okay.
It's gonna work out.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and one of the other things that I want to share about you that I was really excited about is again because you came in with relatively full books, it was much easier to see a quick change. So I definitely want to make sure that that's
Hmm.
clear to the listeners. Like
Yeah.
if you're making $1,000 a month right now, it's not going to be as quick for you because you need more clients, and so
Hmm.
client acquisition can take longer than just raising prices and things like that. But one of the things that I told you that I really wanted to do with you before our time was like to get you to start saving money so you weren't always like working from a place of debt and like not having
Hmm.
enough, and you have been saving
Yeah.
money, and that is just
Yeah.
I know I know like I was like imagine a year from now if you have X amount saved in a bank account, like, and if you have a bad month, which for
Hmm.
you a bad month is a great month for a lot of estheticians,
Yeah.
um like how that would be, how would that feel? And I'm just like, again, I'm just really proud of you because everything I asked you to do, you did, whether or not you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do it, whether or not you
Yeah.
were like on board with me. And I loved that. And I also loved that your boyfriend sat in like the first couple months of our session.
Yeah.
He sat in to keep you accountable, right? That was his point. That
Yes.
was the point.
Yep.
I love that so much. And the thing, the listener, what was so great about that was also, I was like, wait a minute, where's your boyfriend? And you're like, oh no, he trusts me now. Like he thinks everything's good. And I was like, what? I mean, he was so sweet. It wasn't like he wasn't like being weird or anything. But I was like, that's so
Yeah.
great that like you like he's like, okay, you're good.
He doesn't even know we're talking about him right now. He just walked by. Hi.
Tell him I said hi. I miss him.
Brittany says
Oh
hi and
man.
she misses you. He says hello.
Okay. Anything else that you want to say about just business or anything in general? Anything else you want to add?
um Honestly, just trust the process is the biggest thing. I've talked to a lot of like estheticians, even just about not even necessarily working with you. Of course, I try to like like I can show you like my square my dashboard if you want to see like proof. Um but I feel like a lot of people don't fully trust the process. And that's the biggest thing. And it was very hard and it was scary, and even past February, there were a lot of moments where I kind of was like, oh my God, like like this isn't working, or, this, that, or the other. And I wish I could just go back in time and just like gently just like shake my head and be like, shut up and just do what you need to do, and I think that's the biggest thing that I would give, you know, to other people is just trust the process, go through all of it, take it one day at a time. In the grand scheme of things, it's going to work out the way it's supposed to. The universe
Mm-hmm.
always has our back.
Mm-hmm. And and yeah, when our calls, a lot of the time, I was like, you weren't super happy. You were like really frustrated
Oh
with
God.
things, which is fine.
Yeah.
It was my job to like talk you about through it all. But the thing that is, you came to the calls with
Mhm.
the stuff that was holding you back and
Mhm.
willing to let me coach you on it. And I think sometimes when
Yep.
clients have a hard time is they're not willing to like be like, I'm having a hard time doing this. And so then it's
Yep.
harder for me to help them through that. And you're like, no, this is
Mhm.
why this is hard. Like, I know this is what we've talked about and
Yep.
I can't do it because of this. And I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's figure this out versus just like, it's not working. You throw up your hands, like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. You were really willing to be coached, which is
Yeah.
I think a big part of this, of your success is like your willingness to be
Mhm.
wrong, your willingness to like, maybe like, you're like, no, this is how it is. And like, maybe it's not how it is. And you're like, okay, fine. I'm willing to like listen to that. That was
Exactly.
huge for
Like,
you.
as I hired you for a reason. I wasn't just going to take what you were saying and just be like, this isn't, like I'm just going to throw it all out.
Mhm.
It's not working. But I was like, I'm paying you. I'm going to take what you have to say. I'm going to do what you say. And if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. Like, that's a lesson learned.
Yeah.
But actually seeing changes, and even just in the last few months, probably like this summer was so much better than like last summer, and I worked a lot less, which is the most important thing. Is like I had so much more free time to just like nap and play the Sims. Like I just it was
Yeah.
so
Do whatever you
nice.
want. Yeah. And I'd have to a lot of times like, let's look at your numbers because you'd be like, I'm not doing well. But like, actually, you are. And we
Hmm.
had to like look at your numbers.
Yeah.
So again, like that kind of stuff, if you were willing to like, be like, okay, fine, I am doing fine.
Exactly.
My
Yeah.
brain's just
Yeah.
telling me otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today
Thank
and telling us your
you.
story. And you're so inspiring. And I know so many estheticians are going to be like, I understand exactly what you feel, and
Hmm.
like you are like, when I hear from estheticians, they always feel really alone in their own panicking,
Yeah.
and so like you being willing to talk about it is so helpful to
Yep.
so many people. So
Yeah.
I appreciate
The
that.
anxiety is there. And also, I mean, if anyone, you can hop in my DMs if you're, you're questioning it and you just want to talk to someone about it,
Yeah.
about the experience that I've had with you, Brittany. I'm more than willing to be um just just to talk about it. I already
Right.
talk about you so much in
Me
in
too.
esthetician groups that I'm like, if anyone sends me a message and they're like, "Is it actually true?" I'll be like, "Yes, 1,000%." Like I'm not talking out of my ass. I don't do that, you know.
No, no, you don't. You don't. I love that about you. I love how honest you are. I love it. It's so refreshing and easy to work with.
Hmm. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.